Powder track.
We got a couple minutes, Mocha.
Stay out of here. You might get out of this corner with my space. What? Oh shit. Move your bag, Joe, off of that for TV purposes. Yeah, this cool. We're keeping it
Not hearing me.
No, we're not here.
So he's hearing me. I said, my credit is good. I credited it.
Okay, yo voy a atienda ahí. What's that you should be? Say what? Who's that?
Okay. How you doing?
This is my also car.
Oh, that's what you got it from, right? Oh, I thought. Okay. Yeah?
I made it my brother's.
It's a lot more.
No, I'll come back and after. My stuff.
There's a lot more. Let's rise. Face the east, Father on the left, on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
Allah,
my protector.
Allah, my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. His holy prophet. Islam. Yeah.
Not bad sound, huh? Udo. You stood up. We're sitting up, thinking of that last piece.
The last piece is the one we dropped. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans, it causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Juali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Juali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Juali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is not on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Juali. And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Juali. Islam. I want to let the Moors know about MorenoAir.com. This is where we got our Olmec Moor shirts. This is the last one right here. But if you want to acquire MorenoAir.com, delivery is pretty fast. They got some other designs on there too. That was just right. This is one of the designs on there. This one, and also they got this one too. That's one. Today we're gonna touch on Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood, chapter 13. But before we do that, if anybody has any questions or comments or testimonials from their weekly traverse on the hedges and the highways, we put those up right now. You want to talk about our sister there?
No. You referred to the sister.
Yeah.
She said she got referred to you by someone else that doesn't even live in this jurisdiction.
Right.
And the whole conversation was about, just to find out about, certain immigration thing and how his brother of hers, I don't know if her husband.
Yeah. Going through some issues. Yeah.
So conversation was about how the system and the back over here.
Actually, too, just to back up, so I got a message from, I'm pretty sure it was Mother Kadira Bey, Brother Alim's wife,
Mm.
that there's a sister that, you know, needed to deal with some Moors. Since we're out here, you know what I mean? She forwarded them to us,
Oh.
which is how it's supposed to run.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with Moors who are in different jurisdictions. It's not going to be for somebody outside of that jurisdiction to deal with that jurisdiction. It should be the Moors in that jurisdiction being sent individuals who are in their jurisdiction to deal with the war. Unfortunately, the sister bumped into Buddy, and she got hit up for some what do you call it, retainer. She got hit up for some retainer finance with regard to whatever situation she was dealing with, and she got referred to him from somebody else or whatever. How you know the usual. So it's important that people take, because we look at people like Mother Kadira, Dr. Alim, you know, Grand Street Nature, you know, Taj Street Bay, Raz Bay, you know, certain Moors we look at on a certain level, right? If they could have allegiance with Canaanland, that if anybody from Toronto contacts them and they're going to send them to us, then there's no need for anybody else not to do that, right? Because that's just what it is. Those are big dogs, and they're referring people to us. So if they can refer people to us, then nobody can say they shouldn't be referring people to us, right? And then to second that, there was Brother Jones L, Brother Frederick Jones L had a debate yesterday with young Pharaoh. Yeah. Because Pharaoh wanted to debate whatever issues with Moors, who are the Moors, and Noble Ali plagiarizing the Aquarian gospel and whatever else. And then that's another one, same situation. He went around to all these different temples or whatever. Every temple he goes to, he realized that they're not on the level that he's on. So he said, well, since I can't really get with any of these temples and I'm already, you know, watching Canaanland classes and whatever, let me just be a member of that temple and make that more my grand sheik. And then now he has issues with all these Moors all over the place. So how come he's your grand sheik and you're not even in his temple and all that stuff? What's an honorary member? You can't, Noble Ali didn't bring that and all that type of stuff, because we're doing the work that these people refuse to do. So they're supposed to be the ones saving people. And if people are going to all these other Moorish science temples and can't get salvation there, then they're gonna go where they can get it. Which is why, you know, we got some more. That's why we do our honorary membership. And we got 2 more again today, just because Moors want to come back into the fold. But every time they go to a temple, it's church going on. Or every time they go to a temple, it's you know, we don't deal with that sovereignty stuff, or you know, we don't listen to Raz Mariah Bay because they're doing whatever. So the door is open for anybody who is interested in getting this information. Like we said, there's people out here who are doing a disservice with this information. And it's up to the people who are here to set the standard for what this is by making sure that you're putting the word out that we're here, that this place is here, that there are Moors here. You know, when people always think about quote unquote Canada or whatever, they keep only thinking about Eskimos and Métis and all these $5 Indians or whatever, they don't think Moors are here, right? And they always make this try to get under your skin comments by talking about we're not Moorish American, we're Moorish Canadians or whatever because we're in Canada. So
It's better this than Moorish Canada.
right, yeah, right. And they don't even go there. They don't even want to call this Canaanland. They don't even want to go there. They don't even want to go there. So so with regard to the sister's situation that she was having, it's an immigration issue, and there's been a few Moors out here that we use the examples that we have before us in order to set the standard for how certain things should be dealt with. You know what I mean? So we had Brother Afif a few years ago, Brother Rennie, and a couple other Moors who, had immigration stuff, and what they do, they stood on their square, and standing on their square is what held back these people from doing anything to them. That's just what it is. No secret papers, no, pay for something, no whatever. You just have your mind in the right place. And that's what we're trying to relate to the sister with regard to the individuals who are out here doing the disservice, that, their whole concept is try to sell this to people, right? Put it out in a way that whoever's receiving it is going to take it from the perspective of, oh, once I get this, then that means so all I have to do is, and as soon as people are presenting it like that to you, should have red flags and stuff going off, spidey senses and all that. Because this is strictly about liberating your mind. This is strictly about liberating your mind. I don't know if you want to talk about the thing from the video since it couldn't play. If you want to talk about the perspective with regard to the cards, because it ties right along with the misperspective that people have when they have individuals who are opportunists in this, that they're going to push it as this is about cards, this is about papers, this is about some type of instrument or some type of seal on something that's going to make you be recognized as a Moor or whatever. And there was a few years ago we did a Skype with Grand Sheet Nature and Taj Tariq Bey. It's on YouTube. Just YouTube Canaanland Moors, Nature and Taj. It'll come up. And they spoke about the concept of the nationality card. Oh yeah, you can do that.
Because I don't mind, but the way that they.
But while I'm searching for it, you could just give a synopsis.
Just, I'm going through some stuff with the colonizer now, and what I sort of started to do is break down the fact that certain masters teach certain things. You go with Denimel, if you want spirituality. You go to a seer, if you want his certain speciality. You go to Phil Valentine for theirs. They're sort of in that same metaphysical area. But I find that Taj, in his videos and ones where he's affiliated with, there's usually a lot of breaking down the actual law perspective of this. And in this particular, so what I was doing is that, because I now have to sort of, sort of get the engine running again to sort of get battling with these colonizers. Because the first thing for me is, you don't even want to be in front of these guys on any level. You don't want anything. It's not about trying to stand up for stuff. It's about you guys getting what's yours and getting ahead. If you're battling with them, then they're sucking your energy out. They're already sucking out through all the stuff that they're doing up there to begin with. You have to take a day off of getting ahead to go into one of their tribunals. It's a day lost, in my perspective. No matter what, you know what I mean? I end up finding these tickets maybe that are 500 fiat notes, and I'm losing $2,500 in fiat notes from work to battle on some point. It's ridiculous. But they were breaking down what nationality actually meant, because yet again, 5-6 years ago, was someone talking about the nationality card being important and what that importance was. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. What would, remember the time? The
7 o'clock.
7? All right.
So this might be enough. As he starts to speak, I'll let you know whether within this 15 minutes, he breaks down what this whole thing is really about.
Well, he set something up that if carried out would inevitably have free.
Sounds good.
It's not too clear. No.
That's like 7-minute mark?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
just
you
keep
probably
it
have to
there.
listen to that at home.
Just speak. It might be where the mics are. Just give it to see if you get to the point where nature. But that's maybe around the 7:12 mark. Maybe. Might be where he's in.
It's down. Probably won't hear it. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch that at home.
Okay,
So, yeah.
So I'm not sure what the breakdown is someone was saying, was it more important the nationality or the nationality card? What do you guys think? So fair enough. So that was the answer. Taj went off on about 5 minutes on nationality, really meaning us coming together as a people and standing for the things that we stand for and being community. And that was the nationality perspective. And that's what this is all about. It's coming together and being a family, an extended large family. But then, and I'm just very quickly getting to what nature then said was the nationality card is absolutely important because it is the one thing that places you in a nation. Aside from that, you've got nothing else. So the aspect of having that nationality card, what the prophet says it will change on you in your pocket, is what it represents to them when they come to kidnap you and say that you're John Smith. You have the one and only thing that can prove to them that you're someone else, which is this nationality card. No professing out of your mouth is going to do that on a corporate level that you're dealing with. So that the nationality card is absolutely intrinsic to everything. Because when someone says to you, "Who are you?" "I'm a Moor." Prove it. Man. So it was very interesting because I have stood on the fact that you don't need the card. The card's not needed at all. But it was just really profound to understand that the card is absolutely needed on any of these levels that were up there. So the card is absolutely there. And that's why, to me, the card is very sacred. And this is why what these people are doing is absolutely reprehensible. But that's what that whole thing was. As I said, you go around the 6:45 mark and listen to those guys break it down. And you're ready to get your scimitar on and get out there, right? So, no.
At the same time, if you're melanated and you have eyes again, you really need a card to see.
Look at it on that.
Look at the knowledge. Knowledge speaking to it. Yeah, but without speaking, that's what I'm saying. If you have eyes to see, you can see that person's melanated, you don't need a card. So,
Thank you, Mocha.
Thank you. You get what I'm saying?
I have a quick question. Unrelated, but still in regards to identifying somebody. I was talking to a real estate agent over the phone, and he said that he witnessed a sheriff hit somebody out of their home, and he was talking about these lads because he was in Canada. So, that's the first time I ever heard of a sheriff in Canada together.
Yeah.
Without the US, not S.
Yeah.
curious, like, and then I went and looked on YouTube, and in regards to sheriff in Canada, I seen Alberta. So, somebody's giving me the inclination and find that their sheriffs, so-called sheriffs, have been with Canada.
But the key is what the sheriff was doing.
Yeah.
Evicting somebody.
Yeah.
That's what they're limited to in Canada. That's their authority.
The public of Canada.
Yeah. How it works that's how they got their job there. That's all they do. Only when they have to evict people, that's when they call them. Other than that, sheriff is
an office.
right. But then when you go to the office, it's Metro Police sitting in there, not a sheriff. When you go to the office of the sheriff over at 393 University, yeah, it's a Metro Police highwayman sitting in there. Yeah, it's not the sheriff in there.
Because recently, that's what I seen on YouTube. I see now they're trying to advertise sheriff on back, on shoulder, emblem still under the same order. It's the same shield. Whatever.
Because when the amalgamation happened and they got rid of all the counties and whatever else, once the city took over, then all the sheriff work fell to the municipal people, right? When you look at RCMP, they limit them to federal. OPP is limited to provincial. You're not going to see OPP out here unless they're just passing through. But all their offices are off the highway, in ramp, on ramp, or whatever. That's where their office is at because their jurisdiction is highway. That's it. They don't deal with any other jurisdiction.
Provincial, the rest of that court.
Yeah, right. So provincial courts have their police. RCMP has the federal, municipal, and then sheriff is just does whatever else those other guys do. When he's really supposed to be the head lawman and everybody's supposed to be under him.
He's the principal.
Yeah.
The principal.
Right.
So it's in regards to the du jour sheriff's position, he's supposed to be the principal of which, like, he's a mediator, or like he's the principal of the colonists, or the principal of the national.
Well, the sheriff's supposed to be that's the only law enforcement ultimately.
They call him sheriff.
Yeah, that's the only law enforcement.
So,
but everybody else is imposter.
In another land is the sheriff, the Sikh. The Sikhs acting as sheriff.
You could look at it like that to a degree, depending on where you go. But again, they wouldn't say, like, for example, Sharif Abdul Ali. He's letting them know that he's the sheriff. He's the superior jurisdiction. He's the principal. But that's only if you use that name. If you use Nobuchu Ali, you're not talking about the Sharif, you're talking about the prophet at that. Right? Yeah, man.
Touch on the nationality card thing that Moorish saying. So the whole conversation, going back to the sister, the sister was the whole nationality card thing. Because she was telling me that she had a nationality card. So I'm saying, do you have your name correction declaration or Jewish proclamation? No, she doesn't have either of those. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how did you like? So what I was trying to say, my point that I was trying to make, so I'm going to this going to be, I wanted to be the sub earlier there. The whole thing was the imposters or the ones, the dirty ones out here, trying to be in the finance office. They're even printing nationality cards to now, right? And that's another little problem that we have to address too, right? Cards are printing now. I don't know, it's similar to other nationality cards that we're using. Essentially, what they're doing is making membership cards that look like our nationality cards. it's not nationality, because it's not proclamation of declaration. So it's the same thing as you have to live. It's like an image or likeness of them. That's it. They're on. So it's a language, it's not backed by anything. Other decrees is proclamation of law, contract. But it's funny how you mentioned that the nationality card is a thing now because it was just paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, I never heard about no cards.
Yeah.
Now it's on cards.
Right.
It's
And again, it's just the money grab is expanding.
Yeah.
You know, because papers are gonna only do so much, like you're saying. What's your nationality? Well, if you don't got anything to put down to say what it is, then you might show papers. But more than likely, because of it not being a paper society like that, everything's on cards right now, whether it's bank or, health, whatever, it's card, right? So having something would be what they would be expecting if you're making any type of claim, you know. And again, with like brother here was saying that from the perspective of somebody who's expert in certain things could pinpoint the fraud of it, because the presentation of it has to be a certain way. It can't just be whatever. You know what I mean? Like how Taz used to joke back in the day about, you could put your nationality card on a piece of used toilet paper and then that's how real it is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's that real, but they probably won't accept it if you present that to them. They want to see something. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right? So the brother was saying that, because being that he's into graphics or whatever, that from a graphic art perspective, there's errors in this. You know what I mean? But the average individual, they're not gonna really pick up on certain things like that. It's just gonna be, oh, I got my card, yes, or whatever.
Well, to add on to that too, so she explained this bill with the sister, and she was reading on her certain things that she had, and it said the certain individual's name that are called out on her paperwork. So I'm saying, I asked them, my sister, this is I saw Paul Master. What's someone else doing on your paperwork?
Mm-hmm.
So right there, she questioned it. She had second thoughts, and it's interesting, that the whole energy behind how the frequency of you saying the directions that she had to go in to come back to here, right? Right. I mean, there's only one temple in Canada. There's only one way.
Yep.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, right? So, it was interesting. I was honored, talking to her. Like she was thanking me. She's like, "Yo, thank you,"
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Islam. And again, with the thing with the cards is, like we're saying, the mindset goes with it. It's not on its own because you have that. The paperwork is not on its own. The paperwork had to be compiled or put together, and everything on that paperwork came from the mind. So the mind has to match the paper when you say, okay, here's the paper, or here's the card, because the card is a small form of the papers. The card is so that you have to carry around 20 pages. You just have this plastic that you give, and then it says the exact same thing as the paper says, but in a brief, perspective. Brother Mark.
No, you were saying before. What were you saying? You didn't have to have the card.
So saying you don't need a card or paper if you're gonna see the person.
No, but I would think, remember, they would see people looking like us, but they claim they are black.
Yeah, it's
So
not
see
really
that-
that thing, but at the end of the day, there's still more to do with the thing and something else.
Yeah, from the perspective of we're all Moors. Yeah, from the perspective of we're all Moors. Yeah, it's just visual. There shouldn't be a need for a card.
No.
You know, but just like you're saying, the issue is that they got people classified as all these other things. So, you know, we're gonna present something, right? You know, just so that they don't get it twisted.
Because they have it. Don't put their way. Once they see, oh, that's a black, that's a leader.
Right.
No, they
Yeah.
have that covered.
Now, even the brother who was doing the Skype last night was making the reference of getting kidnapped and them still putting black on the thing, even though he gave them nationality card or whatever. You know what I mean? Which goes into the thing of you know, not necessarily that it's them. It's not necessarily the colonists. It's just that the activity of the Moors hasn't been that expanded that they have more to check off more if they kidnap them more. You know? Right. You know, and it could also be on the level that they have not kidnapped that many Moors to say, why do we need a box to put Moors there? You know what I mean? They're going by the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and learn to love instead of hate and all that. We don't need them up in here, but we're not going to see them like that, you know. But all in all, you know, like Laura's saying, you know, the actual factual is, yeah, we shouldn't need it, but because of the colonization, we're gonna, the circumstances, it's in our best interest to have something to counteract them trying to put you under some Negro, black colored jurisdiction or whatever. Even with your situation too, you know, them dealing with you on your own, they're dealing with you a certain way. But now if you got people that saying the same thing that you're saying, now everything changes now. Now the judge is talking different and they're quote unquoting stuff and they're so-called whatever and all that stuff, but they weren't talking like that when they kidnapped you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You had something, Tez?
Yeah, just to say too that the card has been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
The social security system since 1930s. It was like younger than our nation having our nationality. All the citizenship, also social security, all that stuff came after when we brought our people there and said, yo, one card, boom, nobody can't say nothing, they don't even have cards. They didn't even have cards. Yeah. Other nations might have had cards, but in the United States, they didn't have no cards. Right? So Drew Ali, we were already doing something that, like you said, it was going to change their pocket because they followed the suit.
Yeah.
Right, just like the black can follow suit with their registration.
Right.
In Chicago, so it's in Cook County, so it's like, the card, like, we don't even realize what it was for him to say that at that time. Like we're comparing our cards to every other card. That de facto issue, it's not even the same.
Yeah. Any other questions? Do you have any questions, sis? Any comments?
Those cards they have, I don't.
No.
The ones that do you have fingerprints on them? The cards you see.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah, like they don't even have their national address on their card.
Like I went to do some fingerprint copies ago. And the machine can't work. It can't work. The guy said he never seen it. He never seen people with these specs, and he never seen these things when the machine can't work. They called him in that one time. He already got the report from Maine, and look where they called him in Lawful.
Yeah.
So right there, and after he called the The chief for the machine, which is a girl from her home, we have to wait. She run from home to get the machine. The state can't work. See how we can keep the tip of your finger, can't take the hand. That's something like that. So I'm very sure that's not like divine power. Divine power.
Yeah.
Sisters work.
Yeah.
Never see this happen yet. All this time I'm here doing this thing. Okay, let me call the big chief. The girl came over. I'm the other person. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and then some of it
And at the same time, to remember, he had to present his ID with his card with his fingerprint on
on it. That's what broke it. Yeah. And it could
That's
be
another
it
way
could
they
be
have,
them.
you know, they have to accept it and also get, like, brought down or pulled over. So when I go to the station and give it to them, they accept it, they look around, give it to someone else, then they accept it, right?
Yeah.
They took me and they never asked me about no extra or nothing.
Right.
So
Right.
they know.
Yeah.
That they have to accept.
Right.
That's how I got my vehicle out of the palm.
Your nationality card?
Yeah, I took the equitable title to the vehicle. I was signed over from the owner, and I ascribed my financial name on it. And so when I presented it to the police station for it to be released, telling them that the registered owner is here, I'm not the registered owner, but I'm registering it, and there's equitable title to it. Check my ID, and you had no choice but to release it.
Right. Right. With the quote unquote ownership.
Yeah.
That's not really ownership because the transfer was done. Right? And then you have the ID to back up what the transfer says.
This is all relative to like talking about the sheriff and the evictions. It's these dealings that have to be done with people, with human being, where there's no warrant, right? There's nothing that warrants physical force. If you're gonna tell somebody to do their own, it doesn't warrant physical force, but you do have to physically be there. So those are the situations that show you that de facto, that the first rule is corporations can only do business with corporations. So those are the lines, like that's the basic jurisdictional line. You know? Morris question. We question so many things that just come down to that simple concept that is this corporate? Are the parties both corporate? Are the parties both private? Or are you trying to mix corporate and private? If you're trying to mix corporate and private, that's a mistake right off the bat. So from the de facto side, it's never truly de jure, it's never truly private or in the flesh, but they're gonna make their best effort to separate the more corporate stuff from the things that have to be done, like I said. So the sheriff was that, like you said, the principle to go out in the flesh and deal with other people in the flesh in times of peace or when there's an issue, right? So in times of peace now, the only person really that's going to be sent to go and just tell you, okay, you have to leave. And then similarly, talking about, we were just talking about identification. Right? So it's the same, similar concept, right? It's there, the flesh has already been taken, so it's like whatever property is on that body, they can't separate it. They can't say it didn't happen. It's already there. It's already part of it. It's the reality. You know? So they can't go into the reality. They can't change anything in the reality. They can only say this is what I observed.
So they couldn't say the national.
They're corporate, right? They're corporate. The Toronto Police Services Corporation. They can't actually, like, we think that when they hit your physical body, yeah, that's them crossing the line, but at the same time, you have to consider where you were, where you ended. We're walking on a street that's being claimed by the city of the Toronto Corporation, who hired the Toronto Police Services Corporation to walk those same streets and hit people over the head with bats. And so, that again, that's jurisdiction, but that's physical jurisdiction, right? That's where you physically are.
And then if you want to get back into your status and how that relates, you're gonna have to communicate with that with them, because they're not under those assumptions. They're under very basic assumptions, especially if you're dealing with somebody at basic level employee. So that's why so many things are just redundant. When more is going to come in, we don't realize why it is that sometimes when you ask questions, Moors or Grand Sheik or so on, that they give that you don't seem to get an answer that we want, Moors. But in reality, you already have the answer, right? It's the basic concept of jurisdiction, status, jurisdiction, adjudication. When we learn more and more, we go advanced, and then usually that's when something either comes up or somebody brings something up that they're already going through before they even came, and that's why they came. And then they forget those basic lessons because they're thinking, oh, now I'm learning about, whatever, right? Astrology, I'm learning about, how to write writs and so on and so forth, like this writ or that writ. In reality, it's just status, jurisdiction, adjudication, right? If you messed up jurisdiction at one point, then you have to acknowledge that. Because how can you get into writing writs and you don't know the difference between private and public, between corporate and private? Basic.
And just like you said, basic, that's why we did the back to basics class series. So that if people don't know, you can go to Canaanland Moors under the playlist and you can watch the back to basics. It's about 30 classes. And the reason those are there is so that people could get familiar with the little things that they need to know. Forget about, claim a house and right to travel and all those stuff. All those things are so far down the road that it's gonna happen and you wouldn't even know that it's happening. Because majority of people, if we use right to travel, for example, majority of people have suspended license, so they're right to traveling already. Been right to traveling. Before they were even Moors, they didn't have insurance and all that.
And worrying about, well, can I get you for me so that
You've been exercising right to travel. It's not some new concept. Yeah, do you have a
Just to count back up what Tesla says, but I've been out of the room for a couple of minutes. One of the things we also have to realize is that this is where you get certain Moors who end up getting called in and then they sort of get put into psych wards and things like that. From the perspective of you claiming to be something for a certain period of time and then coming into a certain level of knowledge, the people that you've been interacting with up until that point have known you in a certain way, let's say being the straw. Isn't it you think that you reclaimed or gotten reintroduced to your nationality, you want things to change. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's why the prophet says, like what Tesla was saying, that you do all old business in your old name. And you do all new business in your new name. So you can't expect to be taking your nationality and then going back retroactively into the past to then change things to your benefit. Because then that also shows that you're using your nationality to gain a benefit. But you're really looking, and then that sort of negates what its power is. What you're looking to do is take your nationality and from that point on, continue to disengage yourself from all of those other tendrils that are holding you to them, while then creating your new Nirvana or your new, what's the one in Black Panther? Wakanda, right? We're looking to create that community. This is our community to create, but we cannot expect, if we've been John Smith for 25 years, that on the 25th year, 265th day, you start saying your Kunta Kinte, or whatever it is, or Black Panther, and all of a sudden they're going to turn things around. So that's where this thing becomes layered. The concept is that correctly, but the outcome will not, because there's also vestiges of that energy, I think, system that belong to that as well. Because you're obviously operating in that energy level.
it's all energy.
Absolutely.
So to that is like it's also it's yours to destroy. It's your proof that you keep turning it.
Absolutely.
I'm not giving it either. I'm not giving it to you either.
Absolutely.
It's mine.
Absolutely.
The birthright is mine. The proof is mine. What do you want?
But the thing of being
And
careful.
that's and you read about that.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is too is
if they want to make a claim, then they have every avenue to do so, right? A proper claim. When like somebody calling you on the phone, and oh, this is credit, whatever, so and so, that's not a claim. That's moderation.
But let's say this, it goes even further than that, you go down the line more, that's more rules of contract. Why are you even calling me? I don't have a contract.
Yeah.
Third party shouldn't be. But to get back to what you were saying about claiming the straw, I want to just preface with people that the deal is the straw is yours, but in this early stage, it's about disengaging yourself from that.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
You're trustee.
You're trustee to it, because ultimately you start saying you're that straw, then the straw.
No, I mean, like.
I know, I just want to clarify that for people, that it is your straw, but in this era, in this level that we're talking about, it's really about giving them back their rights to that, to the rights and the responsibilities of the straw to them. That straw is me, but it's not me to be going to jail. It's not me to be doing all the bullshit you're talking about. It's me because it was put upon me at birth. I'm claiming it, and I'm not looking to do any wrong with it, but I'm not letting you then assign wrong to it, and then having me fulfill that part of it, because we know that's an illusion.
Then they might as well give it back.
Right.
But then they'll never take they're not taking it.
They don't say it.
Here's the office you go to give back your straw.
No, absolutely.
No way.
Because what we know behind the scenes is really their ownership of that straw, which is what allows them to
That is proof that it's active. If it's not active, then they can't sell it on the bond market. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's where the reclaiming of the birth certificate comes into it, from the perspective of they then will maybe allow you on a certain sort of ethics level to say, I'm buying my certificate again, but really what you've really done is then condone.
You made it even more valuable on the bond market. Now you're saying, oh no, I'm quite aware.
That's right.
This is the financial instrument.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm definitely the person who's putting the energy into making it valuable, to put a value on it.
No, that's what
I'm
I'm
fully aware. That's what those people who get to certify your person, that's what the proper
That's right. That's what I was trying to get to.
Using it is just, it's not,
No,
it's just using it. It's when you go and you do the
Sign off on it.
certify it,
certification.
certifying the birth certificate. It's that second step. It's a step of saying there's a flesh and blood person who's alive,
Who's admitting to it under free will.
using this, and there's a singular individual who can be identified.
And the reason they're doing that is because
You'll make more money than, so your bond, as it moves, as you're born, it's your mother who signs the certificate. The baby doesn't sign it, right? So it's not hers, it's the state's, and she's a witness, and you're now the trustee. You're using it, but they're not identifying you to say, who is this person specifically? Because they're bundled anyway. They're bundled in.
Hold on, so can I just add on to that? I think what the nuance to that is that because you have no knowledge of it, you don't have any knowledge that they put you into that contract for a certificate. So therefore, ergo, the certificate is living in this limbo from the perspective that it's alive, you're fulfilling it, but you're not really fulfilling it because you don't know about it.
Yeah, it's
right?
active. It's like,
But it's only
it's
active
like having,
through your non-knowledge of it, in a sense, right? The instant that you find out about it, that's when you've got to put a claim to the fact that I know it's there, but I'm not condoning anything you're doing with it.
right, that's where your reservation of rights.
And your ex-rel, sort of.
Right? So you're using it, but you're really not making it.
Yeah, you're not making a profit. That's
You're
right.
not signing, you're not making a profit.
You're just claiming it back as yours.
So it's just like the debt notes. The debt notes transfer through your hand, right? You don't own the money. And you transferring it is just helping them pay off their debt.
Right.
Right? Or you holding it actually is helping them pay off their
Absolutely.
debt even more.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you're delaying the debt payment. It's their debt notes, right? It's their note. They're not they owe, and they're gonna pay the people back. But then they're putting it in your hands as a trustee. So if you hold on to it, the person who owes is pointing at you and saying, yeah, they have it. Tell them to give it back to you. Tell them to give it to you. Right, and that'll be your payment.
But the deal
International banks.
the deal behind that, which is what the understood certificate was the certificate was tied to a bond which they created at your birth, which was then estimated to be how much worth you were going to be in the world. Right? So then they would say, oh, okay, Omar or Bruce, as the straw, is going to make $1 million. they then take that bond and then they start trading on that from your energies. They know that you're going to go out and do.
But if you certify it now, it's a higher quality.
That's right, absolutely. But that bond market is very fragile from the perspective that if you wake up and say, okay, I'm no longer that person, and I'm killing that certificate, then they lose that $1 million. So what they do is they keep you alive, give you little handouts, little whatever, little benefits for that, and that's where the dance is, where you take it back, and you don't take it back to get any value from it. And so you do then certify it, like Tez was saying, it becomes worth more, but then you've really condoned and sanctioned the fraud, which is what they're doing, and which is the creation of the debt system to begin with. Because that's why they do it. You certify it so that you think that you can dip into your account.
Yeah,
That's right. No one ever sees that, right?
You're in their system, so they can hack on your body by manipulating the system.
Well,
They can do what they can on
And
your
it's also, it's there.
Because you're conscious of it, you're helping everything. So they can't hack on your body, but you already agreed to stipulate by that and do that, so you're stuck. Sure. But my question was, my interference on, so I have an agreement, and I'm part of the union, I'm pretty sure I reserve my rights on it, but now, like, they don't want to produce document to me, and I want to pursue my signature. I wanted to just make sure that you see the document to make sure that's what I did. Reserve my rights on an electrical union, labor union, sorry, labor. And so, on documents are provided by the people upon so-called employment, I checked up a box where I was going to make a certain amount. I was going to claim, I'm not going to claim such and such amount. I'm going to claim less than. I often check it out, such and sign reserve. And so now when they're trying to compensate me, they're deducting wages from my wages. They're deducting amounts. And I questioned money. He photocopied, took his fax or whatever, the thing copied me up. And they said, I'm going to speak to my accountant. Call him, make sure I'm on it. He goes, oh, TBIS, I guess there's an insurance. He called them because they said that over the year, you need more than that amount. Therefore, you cannot claim that you need less than that amount. So therefore, if you have a problem, you got to talk to your accountant in your contacts.
So the deal behind that is it's the same within my union. What they do is if you say that you're making less than the minimum, then they're going to take taxes off under that assumption, which gives you a greater amount of tax. So if you make over $100,000 a year, they're going to tax you 60% of that or whatever. Yeah. If you're making only $30,000 a year, they might only tax you 10. So what you say to them is you say, I'm only making 10 for you, and then you're expecting them to give you all those taxes at that higher rate. The problem is this will happen. Lower rate. At the lower rate, sorry. Right, at the lower rate. But what happens is that people have run this scam where they're claiming to make less so that they can collect all that extra money. So what they've done is they just become more active on it. Yeah, they become more active on it and they're actually keeping a track. And when you go over that amount, they're just now, they put you to that other bracket. Whether you signed off on saying you're making less or not, they're saying, we know you've made more, and that's the issue. Well, yes, and that's they're protecting themselves from the fact that they're running game and you're running game, and they're not going to let you run game. And the problem is it's not priority. No, I know, but the issue is that it's a top to the bottom system where they're paying you, so they're just going to say, hey, I'm deducting your taxes because I've already seen it to this point where you already made over $20,000. We're not trying to say that you signed something that says you weren't going to make over $20,000. No, you know you aren't. So we're going to just that part of that contract becomes null and void. Yeah, at the time, and they let people get away with that. I was one of those people in the beginning where I did get all that prorated tax. Then what happens at the end of the year? They come back to you for the difference. Now, of course, that could be a little bit of your plan too. To then argue when you coming back at. That's when the next year they say, sorry, we don't want you working with us anymore. Or they just take the taxes off at the rate that they've seen come off at. You see what I'm saying? After you get past the 16 grand, you were saying you're going to make more than, we're proceeding as if you're in that next tax bracket. We're not allowing you to lie to us. I'm just thinking about the wording, what's involved, I'm getting notice of this. That's smart. In terms of you're wanting that stuff back. Yeah, the problem is that somewhere you signed on to work with one of the corpses. The union itself, the electrical union, is part of their corpse. So for you to then want to not have anything against them with you, you have to get out of the union. Don't you see they're married together? Yes, that's the way it works. The union is a body of the corp. Fair enough, but it's going to be followed by the national rules in that area. You might have a small case to try and get it outside, jump it outside the jurisdiction, but not because you're living in your so-called residing in this jurisdiction. Right? And you're being paid in this area. That's your problem. But the actual union, trust me, I battled this one down. The union is an entity of Canada Court, non-existing outside of it. Because what you'll realize is, let's say it's electrical 103, part of the international, you'll notice that it's probably got a subsection for its Canadian arm.
Yeah, definitely, because it's
Right, right. So that Canadian arm is under the jurisdiction of the Canadian court's umbrella, Canada Revenue Service. Yes.
That's like winners, winners in the nicest
Right,
courts.
right. So winners here is going to have different rules than winners in the States. Exactly. So that's the issue. So that's why I say people don't wait. That's why I say it's not like you can fight the fight, but you're fighting the uphill battle, and they've got ultimate trump cards. Figure out a way to get some finance and get us out to where we need to go. Is how I continue to tell people. Because all that stuff until we get numbers, right? We got 10 here, as I said, until we got 30 here all the time. We've got those issues. Next year, this is some of the plans that we have. Let's start getting these people municipal. What are we doing? What's our plan? What do we want to say municipally that we're about? What's our industry? You know what I mean? That's our next steps. People want to know where we're going. We can start a commune.
I think really too, but
No, absolutely not a problem. You're absolutely right. That takes unification and organization of people getting things, right?
who's out there who needs us, you know, like the faculty doesn't really need us.
Yeah, well, that's
People, you
part
know,
of it.
there's people who are about, you know, family values that could use our support. There's people who are about, you know, healthy food, organic food that could use our support. There's people who are about all kinds of things that could use our support. And you know, there's people who they have different resources. Some of those people have time and energy. Some of those people have materials. Some of those people have finance. And in that sense, too much that you need them or you want them, because it's just not smart strategy.
In the sense of we're still supposed to, at some point, we have to interface with them or do business with them on a national level, right?
No.
Well,
Why? Who said that? Who said we have to?
in regards to like, I think it might be the fact that Trudeau mandated them.
No, but who said from our side of the government that we have to interface and interact with them on a national level? Why do we have to?
If we do that, it's not, we shouldn't be doing it individually, right? We're supposed to be doing it as a nation instead of individually. So,
Yeah, but if we're a nation and they're a corporation, how can we? What is that? The temple is a corporation. So if you want to interact with them, build the temple to a level where they'll actually have no choice but to pay attention. Right? And if the temple is going to be that big, that means the nation must be even bigger to support the temple and back it up and make sure that, you know.
You could see this not unlike city council. If we were working properly, each one of us would be going back to our regencies and sort of carrying on. That's not where we're at. So you have to start seeing where, you know, where we're at. You got to see exactly where you're at to where you're going. Where are we at right now? What do we want? Like the way I see, we need to own some land or a building on a certain level, and then have industry flaunting out of that in certain ways. And really people feeding the beast, not sucking it like other beasts.
Because at the end of the day, to me, the nation has been dishonored and disrespected by the people, like the entities and the energies within the de facto, right, who influence and control the de facto. But the de facto is not good or bad, it's just a corporation that said, okay, we're going to build a railroad and we're going to create this thing called Canada. There's nothing bad about the railroad, right? The issue is that the things that they've been doing have been unlawful, right? But they're a corporation, so they've been doing things legally proper, but according to our customs and traditions, it's not proper.
Hold on.
So the temple is there to deal with them in any way that they need to be dealt with, right? The nation shouldn't really be getting too involved, because all we should be doing is punishing them.
but they're not ready to be punished. You know what I'm saying? So the temple is gonna have to show them, yo, this is what you've done, this is what you're doing wrong, and this is what you've done wrong. This is, you know, the word nation doesn't mean that. You can't do that's not what we mean when we say that word, right? This is that. And there's already those of them who know that. Like we say, we go to the Canyon report, and then all of a sudden it's, you know, so and so and so called. They're not just following us, they're catching what we're saying and then switching back to proper lawful terminology.
But then they're only doing that with us. They're not doing that across the board with anybody who goes in there. Which they should be doing that with anybody who goes in there. Just like they should with regard to what you're talking about with the taxes thing. That nobody should be paying no taxes to them. Not just Moors only.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It should be everybody in an uproar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Well, but what I was going to get to what Ted was saying, from the perspective of him saying that the temple is the corporate entity that deals with that corporate entity, the so-called de facto government. The deal being that where any of this taxation comes is from the concept of corporation, which in their very entities, when they're doing stuff, ends up creating profit, which is what the corporations were set up to do, and that's where the taxation came from.
Right.
So it's really our stepping out of that. But really, what I was thinking, until, as I said, you go to Chinatown. The reason why you go to Chinatown and get anything you want any time of day is because they come in, all of a sudden, we're all going to live in here. And people are, and there's going to be energy in here. When you come in here, you're beholden to us. And every little Greek town, you go to Greek town, same thing. You go over there, we haven't gotten that.
Yeah.
Until we can get that, that's the first part of the community. That is the essence of the nation, right? Because when in Greek town gets a real problem, they can call back to Greece, and a couple plane loads come over. You see what I'm saying? And that's really what we're supposed to be looking to emulate. We have that here already. We're just too dispersed.
Yeah.
We need to bring that together and come to certain, they have Bangladesh, all these places, right? People come in there, they move in there, and now they got whatever. Now you got a guy running one of the main parties. That's embarrassing to me when I see that shit. I've been here from a minute, this guy is all turned up, all running from the aspect of them bringing their people in together and saying, hey, this is what we're going to support.
I was just doing some work for Anytime More, and everywhere I go now, I'm talking national and everything comes up. Like I always bring the content community into it, so everybody always, comes to they draw a conclusion with me that there's no blood to Canada, and Canada is that corporation. It's not a nation state the way nation states are around the world. The majority of nation states is so long. But then Anytime More, I noticed, as we all notice all the time, other nation states. He worked from home at the time I was there, so he could stay there and supervise. And he kept answering the phone, speak a little English, and then eventually it's on to urban because he's doing business with his nation and he's in insurance. So everybody who's coming to this place, they're getting insurance through him. They're doing business with Canada through him, and they all
Just so quick caveat, look through our insurance. We need $1 million. It's not an insurance company. $1 million. If we had that, we'd start our own insurance company and we could insure ourselves. They're just doing the game that we should be doing.
You'll just put some paper in that then?
Was it legal or no?
Regular paper. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, whatever it is, feel free to put it out there.
I'll give a quick one. My dad came back from the operation, trying to break this stuff down, and by the end of it, they're like, turn off the DVD. They didn't want it anymore, right? It's too much. I should just throwing Taj down their neck, right? But I realized there's one point when this girl said and said something. He's like, I think we're okay right now. So I'm like, all right, whatever, fine, right? So then, as we're on the way, I'm talking about Islam, what it represents, all this stuff. Anyways, I guess he's, they're seeing me as the lost boy, but they're giving me a book on Islam. It's we'll see what it is. He's like, this is what my interpretation of Islam is. Here, read this. So I'm gonna go check it out, right? Obviously. So I was sure it all. Then I gave him the Taj DVDs. driver's license fraud.
Yeah.
You hadn't watched that one yet. So you go home and sit down and watch that. And we'll talk later. He said, but wait, I want to tell you about this. Do you know about this guy named Yassine Bey?
Yeah,
So you seen this? I don't know. I think so. I said, but let me tell you about what Bey represents. So he breaks down all the Bey things. Well, he was actually Ma's dad. I said, oh, okay. He's like, well, he's got this art thing. I said, Dad. I said, you're home. I said, you're talking to me about Yassine Bey.
Yeah.
And that's proof of what I'm trying to tell you. That the five family names are Bey, Ali, Al, and Day, and El. And so he's a Bey. He's changed his name from something else to be a Bey. He was lost in the thing that he was doing his presentation, this rap presentation that to go and be immersed in. But he was missing the whole concept that the guy he was talking about, that he was in denial with me about, was a Moor who had converted, who had proclaimed. So just to show you that it's happening in front of us all the time. It's not working or
It's not sense in the papers, isn't it?
You have to put in more. Try putting some more.
Put in more. That's what it's all. So yeah, so that was my moment of that. But I realized that the older ones, when I was sitting at her house, she came over and she brought me this Christian like a pamphlet that some of the churches had put out. She's like, here, read this. So I read a bit about God and Jesus and Jesus. I said, look, wait, it's a white Jesus up here. I said, didn't it say burnt grass? And because she's like, well, what about Christmas? You know, Jesus and his birthday. I said, that wasn't his birthday. So now she's like, yeah, I know, but I mean, because I know, but we don't. Why don't you just agree with something? I said, wait a minute, but they're lying to you. I said, the day is not. That's not the right day. I said, so if that's not the right day, and they're lying to you, then you gotta start checking everything else. Everyone's starting to be real quiet, right? It's time for Omar to go. You know, so that's where it is. But that's what's going on. The fight's there. But what it is.
All right, cool.
But what it is that we're it. Let's just get it going. We have no Jolie in a couple weeks, and then as I said, we're looking to kick some stuff off. But even this is sort of thought. Even if we go to the mayor, what are we going to the mayor to say?
Yeah.
What do we got to say to the mayor?
Because like again, right? If you're the nation, you're the landlord. This is the tenant, right? Like, why would you? Like, what do you go? We go to your tenant and say what?
We need some.
Your service on harassing them.
Okay, what do you say?
Give us a rent.
Right. Okay. Right. But do you have a lease agreement with that tenant?
There's no agreement.
Right. So they're a squatter.
That's true.
Somewhat so, yes, sort of, yes.
That's what George Washington was talking about.
Right.
That's between the United States of America and the Moors. So the United States of America Republic owes rent. Canada doesn't own rent.
And that's the result, isn't it?
What's the result?
The republic that they reconvene.
Meaning the Congress?
I don't know if I use the word result. Yeah. The Congress, yeah.
Yeah, but they've been running it into the factor. The point is, I'm saying you're still getting caught. Go ahead.
No, yeah, Omar's right. It's the fact. It's all de facto now. Both the United States, U.S. is U.S. That's de facto, and Canada is de facto.
My perspective was coming out of it was doing that. Everybody likes, oh, Canada's the best place to go, yeah. And Prime Minister also admitted Canada has a long record of mistreating Aboriginal Indigenous people. And so 2020 is coming up, and they're supposed to, since they've agreed, United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, produce what they've
Fair enough.
gone through.
So just to show you the opposite to that, they made this agreement where they were paying off all the children from the residential schools, right? So they made this $8 billion agreement for the 40,000 people, which was giving them each whatever it was, like some crazy little 20,000, 50,000 for their atrocities. But then what happened was it was ruled against them that they had to pay, and then Canada is appealing the decision. So the deal being, you're still getting caught up with letting the crooks sort of say, okay, we're wrong, but then play games with you because we're going to take you back to court because we're going to appeal this. And the longer we appeal this, the more and more of these people die off, and then the less and less money we have to give off, right? So the point being, we've got to change our perspective. You're absolutely right. The stuff that you're saying is absolutely there, and some of us maybe are fighting on that level, but really,
it's not being more organized for you.
yes, and we have to be about what everyone else is about, just supporting their stuff. Just say, here we are. I love the 10 of us that are here. Right, but I mean, it's we need the numbers, and the numbers need to increase, and I don't know how that happens. And then our work needs to increase, and then we have to be organized with what we're looking to want to do.
For one example, looking at some of my managers, we have like 15 team members. No, like all 18 or 19.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Here when
So like teenagers, like 17, 18, 16, 15, 15. When I come life has to do things that if you watch a YouTube video and you download videos and you keep going on there, it shows you step by step how to build something that's legit and something of quality. So if we're here and we're by this many, here's the same way as children, we cut out the box folders. So we can fold the 3 boxes. All we gotta do is fold it on the dotted lines, and it's the same thing as we're sewing t-shirts, we're making t-shirts, and so that's what you're saying. We're coming here, we're producing something from here, and it comes out of here.
Right.
And that's something that's going on in my mind now. So that's what I'm getting like prepare myself for. We're gonna have it somewhere, being able to throw up a tank. Like it's not a tank that moves up, it's attractive, that's a cold. What is that? Like we have to go over there. It's not just a regular pop-up tank. It's like it's a dome. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's rebranding, it's extremely important. And to attract people. I mean, I was up in the Jamaican Association beginning of the year, and there's no youth whatsoever. It's old, faded, and dying. And the building's owned, it's already paid for.
Yeah.
And it's underutilized. And we'll probably lose it if something doesn't change.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, well, one few years back, we were in conversation with some people on the board there.
Yeah.
About us being members of it, so we can go on the board, vote out the people, and then now we got it or whatever. But they're not budging.
right now they're falling apart.
Yeah,
I
because
got a call in the beginning of the week. So that kind of like one of the president's mother was good friends with my late father,
Mhm.
and then until then had asked me to become a board member.
yeah,
And they're just in such disarray. I was like, are you kidding me? It's like, they're far from even thinking about nation. And
Yeah.
unity and
yeah. They're not even close to
their
it.
progression.
They're not even close to it.
Yeah, but right now it's falling apart. And so, I mean, if we all go in and become members, we can actually participate in the change of the membership there.
Yeah.
And we can actually do something as a nation out of Islam.
But then the other part of it too is with regard to that place, we take that place over. This is on Front Street. Ain't nobody getting to God's back there, wherever that thing is.
Pine Valley and things.
No, it's Future Arrow. Arrow Road.
Future Arrow.
Like halfway down Arrow Road or something. Both directions, you got like a 20-minute. You know what I mean?
Nonetheless, I mean.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, large space.
Yeah, it's a good size space, yo.
You
It's
know,
a good size space.
There's no debt owned on the building. It's non-profit organization, which comes in handy.
Well, you see, I think part of the problem we talked about this before. Part of the problem is the nonprofit perspectives of it. There's certainly we skirted around some of the stuff in the early days too. Once you're talking nonprofit, you're talking about a designation from a corporation telling you what you can and cannot do, right? And that's what we've talked about, like why we haven't followed through certain nonprofit sort of cognitive, because ultimately then you have to follow.
You're beholden to them.
You have to be beholden to what they want to do, how much you can do all this stuff. I'm not saying that it can't be worked.
Right. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all.
I think utilizing it as what it is, just like any other tool, doesn't hurt. Once we know what it is, we can still function or utilize it for that purpose. It doesn't have to be, married into the independence of this establishment.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, what she says, like, this right here is on Front Street. So in essence, in my mind, I would never even really give this up, even if we're gonna make a move on that. Try to get both. But like then again, like numbers and finances.
I think that would be the major thing to what you're talking about. It's not about space, it's about filling the space.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. You've got a space, now fill it. What are you gonna do to fill it? That's our problem.
I've been thinking about it for some time. And as I said, when I saw that there's no youth involvement, that means there's no future. So we need to find out what it is that you need and provide them with that. Make it interesting for them And then we have the future. And so it's I've got a few things in place. I've developed a few of these programs, etc. I'm just an individual, so depending on where we go from here,
Need more support.
I've got some infrastructure already written to move forward on that if anybody is interested.
And all those things are things that, for like we were talking about with the town halls, that we can meet and then we have these things, these ideas, perspectives, but they have to be implemented by the people. It can't be like you're saying, a one-man show. It has to be something where across the board, whether there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we're going to work on, and then or one thing or whatever, and then everybody has to be hands on deck for it. Omar and then Tess.
So I was saying, talking to Kudu this morning, because you're talking to some more down from Philly who are coming up here and trying to bring some of that connectivity to us. Because what I was realizing is that this may be an issue. We may not be able to get the numbers all from here. Maybe we can get some numbers from Brampton or Philly, and those come together, right? You bring a conglomeration together. But one of the things I'm looking to make happen from proceeding town halls now is we're going to decide on one thing, just one, and then that should be our goal until the next town hall. Whether it's washing the seat covers, whatever it is, we have to start training ourselves to be task driven and finish it too.
Yeah.
So town hall, as an example, town hall in January after going to LED, we're going to wash the seat covers. If we get to town hall number 2 and we haven't washed the seat covers, then we're on washing the seat covers. And our meeting should be about how we're going to get these seat covers washed. And that's how I see us moving forward. And then we should be able to do 2 tasks, 5 tasks, blah, blah, blah. But we're talking about exactly what we're talking about. Unless we get organized, the problem is, like we know, we're back on the slave on Monday. Right? And that's part of the problem too. They've got us divided. Right? You're spending 80 hours a week looking after their shit, you get your family, and then you get 4 hours here on Sunday to hopefully renationalize. We're under the gun of it. I think some more genius minds coming together. Let's pick on some stuff. Let's get it done.
Yeah, definitely. Town, like when talking about town hall, what I noticed when I was in the police chief meeting, like I said, there was just one issue. And there was other people with issues, but the police focused on just the one group that was prepared. Obviously, I met them beforehand. Maybe they had to apply for a series of a few different meetings that they missed out on. I'm not sure, but that's pretty much it. That's what they spent the time on. So it definitely, it's helpful. It brings cohesion and makes sure that something gets done. And also in terms of getting things done for the temple specifically, the last class, if anyone is, I don't know who was here, who was here, right? We went over the position, right? The grand sheet, assistant grand sheet, myself, chairman, right? Women's auxiliary, Monica, and then other than that, if you read the administrative handbook, if you read the profits writings, it says you're going to need 50, 20 secretaries to write on the name, right? So the secretaries, you got a specific thing that a secretary is in charge of course, it can be general. Okay? But in order to get things done, every organization uses secretaries. Secretaries are the ones who kind of like get things done. So if you're wondering what's getting done or what, question anything that's getting done in the temple. The fact that anything is getting done should be a surprise. If there's no secretary, not even one, you could have 10 secretaries. Each one is just very, very minute task responsibility, right? That's it. And in fact, that's a good way of getting things done, right?
So just get our reading in today, chapter 13 of the Red Book, or the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. Yahshua's holy answer to Lamas. Now after they had dined, the guest and Yahshua all were in a spacious hall in Mary's home. And Lamas says, "Pray tell us, Yahushua, is this the dawn of peace? How have we come forth unto the time when men will war no more? Are you indeed the Prince of Peace? That holy, it is peace. When waters cease to move, they soon are laden with the seeds of death. Corruption dwells in every drop. The living waters always leap and skip about like lambs in spring. The nations are corrupt. They sleep within the arms of death, and they must be aroused before it is too late. In life, we find antagonists at work. Allah sent me here to stir unto its depths and waters of the sea of life. Peace flows strife. I come to slay this piece of earth. The Prince of Peace must first be Prince of Strife. This leaven of truth which I have brought to men will stir the demons up, and nations, cities, families will be at peace with themselves. The five that have been dwelling in a home in peace will be divided not, and two shall war against three. The son will stand against his sire. The mother and daughter will contend. Yea, strife will reign in every home. Then self and greed and doubt will rage into a fever heat. And then because of me, the earth will be baptized in human blood. But right is king. And when the smoke is cleared away, the nations will learn war no more. The Prince of Peace will come to reign. Behold, the signs of what I say are in the sky, but men can see them not. When men behold a cloud rise in the west, they shall shower. They say a shower of rain will come, and so it does. And when the wind blows from the south, they say the weather will be hot, and so it is so. Lo, men can read the signs of earth and sky, but they cannot discern the signs of the holy breath. But you shall know. The storms of wrath come on. The carnal man will seek a cause to hale you in court and cast you into prison cells. And when these times shall come, let wisdom guide. Do not resent. Resentment makes more strong the wrath of evil men. There is a little sense of justice and of mercy in the vilest man of earth. By taking heed to what you do and say, and trusting in the guidance of the holy breath, you may inspire this sense to grow. You thus may make the wrath of men to praise Allah. And Yahushua went his way and came unto Bethsaida and taught. Yahshua, the holy answer. Right, so verse 8, the nations are corrupt. They sleep within the arms of death, and they must be aroused before it is too late. So that's the same thing we were talking about with Trudeau and all these people saying that they want to get rid of Indian acts and enforce UN declarations, and the Pope coming out and Christians coming out walking with, you know, Asiatic Jesus down the street and stuff like that or whatever, because everybody knows that the time for all the corruption, all the madness or whatever is up. But if the people aren't doing anything about it, corruption continues, because these people been known what the truth is. All the heads, the rabbis, the priests, the imams, the whoever's, all of them already know what it's going to take for there to be freedom and peace and all the great things that humanity wants on earth. But if the people are just going there on that one day, do some hallelujah and then going back to swine and whatever else that they're doing, then this is why we have what's going on, right? In life, we find antagonists at work. Allah sent me here to stir onto its depths the waters of the sea of life. Peace follows strife. I come to slay this piece of earth. The Prince of Peace must first be the Prince of Strife. So look at with Noble Drew Ali and the principles, right? In order to know love, you gotta know hate. In order to know peace, you have to know war. In order to know freedom, you have to know slavery. In order to know truth, you have to know lies. Because there's that the duality in nature. There's the opposite. There's always the foe. Right? There has to be that foe. There has to be that or what they said, there has to be that strife in order for there to be any type of peace. Right? There has to be that strife. Right? The son will stand against his sire. The mother and daughter will contend. Yes, strife will reign in every home. Then self and greed and doubt will rage into a fever heat. And then because of me, the earth will be baptized in human blood. But right is king. And when the smoke is cleared away, the nations will learn war no more. The Prince of Peace will come to reign. Behold, the signs of what I say are in the sky, but men can see them not. When men behold a cloud rise in the west, they say a shower of rain will come, and so it does. And when the wind blows from the south, they say weather will be hot, and so it is so. Men can read the signs of earth and sky, but they cannot discern the signs of the holy breath. But you shall know. The storms of wrath come on. The carnal man would seek a cause to hale you into court and cast you into prison cells. And when these times shall come, let wisdom guide you. They try their whatever. The Moors already know who's been kidnapped or whatever. That the only thing that got them out of that is having knowledge of who it is that you are.
And even still, when Moors know who they are, even if they are incarcerated, locked up in that cell, whatever, wisdom, understanding. Yeah. I'm sure, anybody that's been locked up for a certain long period of time, you gotta have a strong mind, but a strong willpower, right? So you come out broken down, And when they're strong, they come out broken down.
And when these times shall come, let wisdom guide you. Do not resent. Resentment makes more strong the wrath of evil men. There is a little sense of justice and of mercy in the vilest man of earth. There's a little sense of justice and mercy in the vilest man. Right? The most evil man has a sense of
that's completely contrary to what all the Black Power people talk about.
Yeah.
When man's evil, you can't trust him at all. And just don't walk on the same side of the street as that thing, Especially as soon as you want to start talking about law and treaty and so on and so forth, and how things that actually we use, like we say, and things that actually work. No, they want to throw, you can't trust them, and you're completely evil, and all of them, every single one.
Yeah. But let them need mouth to mouth. They take it from that European. Let them be about to go, choking on the sausage. We're gonna take that mouth to mouth. Chapter 37, the Holy Quran. Since they mentioned holy breath in there, you might as well read breath of heaven. And everybody can follow on this one. Holy instructions from the Prophet, the breath of heaven. Oh yeah, and then also too, just to touch on something from the debate issue with people with Noble Drew Ali plagiarized the Aquarian Gospel. Everything that's in this Quran up until chapter 19 is Aquarian Gospel. Everything after that, 20 onward, is Drew Ali's lessons to the Moors. Right? So also keep in mind that the going back to the same thing that Brother Tesbo was saying about the anybody who looks at this European as evil or whatever like that, they Noble Drew Ali plagiarized this European, but they're never gonna talk about this European plagiarizing somebody to write the Aquarian Gospel. Right? They don't go there at all because they already know that the European is their God, and they're never gonna talk against their God. They're never gonna talk about who made them who it is that they are. Right? But chapter 37. Vaunt not thy body, because it was first formed, nor of thy brain, because therein thy soul resideth. Is not the master of the house more honorable than its walls? The ground must be prepared before corn can be planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. As the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep, this way shall thy billows roll and no other. Thus high and no higher shall they raise their fury. So let thy spirit, O man, actuate and direct thy flesh. So let it repress its wilderness. Thy body is as the globe of the earth, the pillars that sustain it on its basis. As the ocean giveth rise to springs, whose waters return again unto its bosom through the rivers, so runneth thy life from thy outwards, and so runneth it into its place again. Do not both retain their course forever? Behold, the same Allah ordained them. Is not thy nose the channel to perfumes, thy mouth the path to delicacies? Are not thine eyes the sentinels that watch for thee? Yet how often are they able to distinguish truth from error? Keep thy soul in moderation. Teach thy spirit to be attentive to its good. So shall these, its ministries, be always to thee conveyances of truth. Thine hand is not a miracle. Is there in the creation aught like unto it? Wherefore was it given thee, but that thou mightest stretch it out to the assistance of thy brother? Why of all things living art thou alone made capable of blushing? The world shall read thy shame upon thy face, therefore do nothing shameful. Fear and dismay, who rob thy countenance of its ruddy splendor? Avoid guilt, and thou shalt know that fear is beneath thee, that dismay is unnamely. Wherefore to thee alone speak shadows and the visions of the pillow. Reverence them, for know what dreams are from on high. Thou man alone canst speak. Wonder at thy glorious prerogative, and pay to him who gave it thee a rationale and welcome praise, teaching thy children wisdom, instructing the offspring of thy loins in piety. Breath of heaven. Any thoughts on that? Right, the ground must be prepared before the corn be planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. So again, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, the preparation of the ground is having the mindset correct. The corn is the cards and the papers and all the external things that we think make us what it is that we are.
Even like you were saying with the building here, utilize it to whatever. Goes back to this one. Because first, who's going to utilize it because they know who they are?
Right.
I don't know who are you.
Right. Yeah. Even harder. I'm just listening. I'm good. It never get Yasun yet. You never get Yasun yet. He's fine. It's good. As the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep, this way shall thy billows roll, and no other. Thus high and no higher shall they raise their fury. So let thy spirit, O man, actuate and direct thy flesh. So let it repress its wilderness. Right, going into the idea of the little voice,
Mind over matter.
and listening to the things that are said in silence, in order so that we don't get caught up in certain things, and knowing that the direction of the flesh is based on are you listening to spirit? The spirit man talking to the flesh, or is the flesh just doing its own bidding? Thy body is the globe of the earth, thy bones the pillars that sustain it on its basis. As the ocean giveth rise to springs, whose waters return again to its bosom through the rivers, so runneth thy life from thy outwards, and so runneth it into its place again. Again, the universal laws, the law of correspondence, as above, so below. Cause and effect. Whatever you put out is going to come back to you. Put out the right things are going to come back. Put out the right things, wrong things might come back. That's still balance. Still something for you to get from that.
I never really understood the whole concept of karma. You know, and
Yeah.
so like, they get to like this information and realize how real it is, you know,
Yeah.
the frequency there, and you put out a look back, and what's real.
It's real. That's why. That's why it's a.
We're in time now, and it doesn't take long. Before it used to take long.
Yeah.
Before it doesn't take
Yeah. Instant. Yeah. And again, the instance is based on where's the spirit at. You know what I mean? If karma doesn't come back right away, it's probably a problem. You need to go check yourself. You know? That stuff should be coming back right away. So you know. Are not thine eyes the sentinels that watch for thee? Yet how often are they unable to distinguish truth from error? Are not thine eyes the sentinel to watch for thee? Yet how often are they unable to distinguish truth from error? Right, going back to the thing of the debate last night, and how many times the great debater was trying to prove the Moors' claim wrong, when plain and simple, the Moors put everything out there. There's nothing secret, nothing to hide, and they don't prove nothing to anybody. Are the Moors African or American? The Moors said we're both. Showed them in the Quran, chapter, verse. It's laid down right here. They don't want to go with it. They think that there's something wrong with the teachings that Noble Drew Ali brought. Right? Just for the simple fact that their eyes are what they're using to discern what's truth and error, when they should be using their mind.
followers have to.
Right.
Just like if we say we're American, not because we're from the Middle East, still American.
Yep.
Still American. You're in the continent. You're on the continent.
Sense.
Yeah.
Sense.
You don't need
Mind.
to know things on nobody.
But even that too, right? Like you said, American, that became qualified as a style alone, right? So that's why it's Moorish American, right? And that's the whole thing. Lots of people talk about that too.
Yeah.
But
But if they paid attention, you know, with the regular teachings of Columbus' discovery, he said he's coming to the Americas.
Yeah. Here was coming.
Right? So if you're from the islands, you're from the Americas.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not hard either. Yeah. But it's always the simplest thing, like what she was saying. That always over your head.
Oh, really? Like when I show people in the dark clouds where everybody's driving, first thing it said is one way black. That goes over there. That goes over there. Even tricycle here and down, or even bicycle here and down, you're going down. But remember the first pocket, 1, 2, and fly. That's why I over there. One way black.
Keep thy soul in moderation. Teach thy spirit to be attentive to its good. So shall these its ministries be always to thee conveyances of truth. Keep thy soul in moderation. Teach thy spirit to be attentive to its good. So shall these its ministers be always to thee conveyances of truth.
Yeah. I was about to say that too. What you said. Good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. So shall these its ministers always be to thee drivers of truth. It doesn't sound right. Thine hand is not a miracle. Is there in the creation aught like unto it? Wherefore was it given thee, but that thou mightest stretch it out to the assistance of thy brother? And again, all these verses or all these chapters speak to such simple things that we could just do, just to get ourselves in a better place while we're here on this plane. What's the reason for hands if it's not to assist your brother? What we got hands for other than that? Why of all living things art thou alone made capable of blushing? The world shall read thy shame upon thy face. Therefore, do nothing shameful. Face is an open book. Again, going back to the thing with the you see all these rapper interview guys or whatever, everybody got shades on because they know eyes tell you stuff. You know what I mean? They can't look at you when they're telling you go sell drugs and go do madness out there. They have to, because they know they're not teaching their children that. They know they got their children got Black's Law Dictionary home and etymology dictionary and all that stuff. They're not teaching their children that black man this and that, like they're telling these people on YouTube or whatever.
It's true. That is true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Certain rappers, they do not have their children into any of that stuff like that.
Or listening to this stuff.
About their children just got like the best grades in their class.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going in on that.
There's no way these children listening to little whoever and getting all them good grades. No way. No way. Fear and dismay, who rob thy countenance of its ruddy splendor. Avoid guilt, and thou shalt know that fear is beneath thee, that dismay is unnamely. Wherefore to thee alone speak shadows in the vision of the pillow. Reverence them, for know that dreams are from on high. Fear and dismay, who rob thy countenance of its ruddy splendor. Avoid guilt, and thou shalt know that fear is beneath thee, that dismay is unnamely. The rest of it too? Wherefore, to thee alone speak shadows in the visions of the pillow. Reverence them, for now that dreams are from on high. And that even goes in line with Noble Juali talking about if you dream about me, it was me for real, because the devil can't steal my appearance. If you ever dreamt about the prophet, that wasn't an illusion. That was real. Thou man alone canst speak. Wonder at thy glorious prerogative, and pay to him who gave it to thee a rationale to welcome, praise, teaching thy children wisdom, instructing the offspring of thy loins in piety. Do you wanna Tez, you wanna pull those flyers there and just put those out? the one for the 25th and the other one too. Yeah, no, you could just read them out. Just read them out, so
Okay.
we can get those out there.
So, so first coming up is December 25th, 4 p.m. We're involved in Toronto Neighborhood Viewers Association, hashtag Mission Selfless. And this is basically where we bring food and clothing for people on the street in need, and we hand it out to them. When we were doing it, we handed it out directly.
Yeah.
So we bring your own stuff and you just walk.
Yeah.
Walk.
So same theme. It's different people than before.
Okay.
A sister I know linked me about this group doing this, and I know that it's been a while since we did a feed the hungry or whatever like that. So so I put us down. They said whoever shows up, they can get their information on the flyer that they're going to be distributing online or whatever like that. So that's on the 25th at 4 p.m. And it's just bring your own whatever you want to give out, whether it's clothing, winter hats, gloves, socks, food. If you want to make some sandwiches, whatever. And they're just going out a couple hours, giving out whatever they can to any homeless people that are in need.
And they're going to be young and done that square.
Yeah. So done that square at 4 o'clock.
Right in the square.
Yeah.
And then this year, Drew Ali Day celebration is going to be January 4th, which is what day of the week is that?
Saturday.
Saturday. So Saturday, January 4th at 29 St. Dennis Drive, the gym. That's Dunmo Park Community Center. Inside the gym. It's going to be at 12 o'clock, 12 to 5, $20 donation for adults. So we suggest to be prompt, especially if you want to take full advantage of everything that is available. There are going to be vendors. Vendors, there'll be food, the raffle, is it?
Yeah, we're going to be raffling.
There'll be a raffle. There'll be a lot to do. Early days always.
The food is gonna be what, 15 a plate or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would bring just a fiat for food or for vendors. And we're gonna have lectures by Senra Bay and David Levy Bay, so good brother from Philly and both from Philly.
Yeah.
Both. So they're gonna be coming down, just for us, right? Which they've done before. So especially if you haven't heard Senra speak, you definitely want to be there. So he's going to speak on Who Are the Real Immigrants. David Levy Baker, Levi Bay, is going to speak on mineral connection between man and plants. So, 25th, feed Mission Selfless, Young and Done that Square 4 o'clock. And on the 4th, Saturday the 4th, Young Day celebration, 29 St. Dennis, 12 to 5.
Islam. Any other questions? And lastly, the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies, the last chapter of the Holy Quran. The end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Juali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner that was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Juali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc. That the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation, descendants of the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. And then just quickly reference that with Noble Juali's article on Islam. What is Islam? Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties toward God Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of a man's life according to Islam is peace with everything, peace with Allah and peace with man. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. The Holy Prophet, Noble Juali, says that a follower of Islam in the true sense of the word is one whose hands, tongue, and thoughts do not hurt others. The object of man's life according to Islam is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man was born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man was born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make or mar his fortune. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah. We believe in one God, Allah, who is all God, all mercy and all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his great attributes so far as we can understand. He is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us in so far as we see his attributes working for us and in us, but he is nevertheless impersonal. Because he is an infinite, perfect, and holy, we do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtake him. Neither do we believe that he is a helpless, inactive, inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are the trails of a frail and weak humanity. The unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs upon it. Back to the Quran. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God Allah has given thee. Come all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and your birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you would learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourself with the families of nations. We honor all the true and divine prophets. Islam. Any thoughts on the last reading? Put those up. If not, that would be our day today. So again, 25th is the Feed the Hungry, Clothe the Hungry, whatever you could provide to assist those less fortunate. Also, fiscal New Year is coming, so it's a good time to get out all your little old stuff or whatever that you don't need anymore and give those away. If you don't have anything like that, feel free to make some sandwiches or prepare some fruit bags or whatever like that. And we meet for 4 p.m. at Young and Dundas on the 25th.
So is it like, were you guys there last year?
No, this is the first time we're doing it with these people.
I'm trying to picture in my head how you see there. They have like people that they bring this stuff to.
No, well, they're going to be going to, they're going to be walking the street and then going to like the shelters and stuff like that.
No, I mean, I've done volunteer work at shelters.
Yeah.
You haven't been with us on one of our walks yet.
No, I've been on one of the lots.
No, the feed, yeah. So you just bring whatever, you know what I mean? Don't kill yourself with, 500 bags of stuff because you got to carry what you bring or whatever, right? So yeah, and then we just go to, like most times. So if people have, for example, somebody might have a garbage bag of clothes or whatever. They might take that or a rolling suitcase or whatever. They'll have that and they'll just give out on the street. They'll give out on the street or they'll take the stuff to one of the shelters or whatever. Yeah. So it's pretty much the downtown area. So it's gonna be a little bit of walking. Put some energy out there so it's a little temperature, something like this will be good. But we did that one time. You were there that one time, Omar, with the minus minus 30? The minus 30 that one time? Yeah. But it's the wake-up call so you can really see what those people have to deal with out there. You know what I mean? Minus 30 is not fun when you have no shelter or food or whatever. And of course, Noble Drew Ali Day on the 4th, which is Saturday.
It's funny. My mom's inviting me over Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
The time they told me, I'm thinking in my head now.
Yeah. We got uplifted fallen humanity. Yeah. I gotta do two, but I'm gonna do the breakfast instead. I'll do the breakfast instead. I made my plan. Yeah, I made my plan early. Like it ain't happening this year. I got stuff to do, but we'll definitely get something done. Any other announcements, Brother Omar?
We'll be having a winter solstice walk in January. That'll be a path system walk. If any of you know what path is, an underground connecting sort of pathways that run from Union Station up to around, eventually they ends up done that, we continue on a little bit further up. But, yeah, we'll try one of those this year, for all the Moors that don't like the cold. It's good silence. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, this. Oh, sure. Sure. We would gladly appreciate that. Of course. Which is going in on
Some training.
training.
You doing a fashion show or something? Need a little runway up.
Wardrobe addition.
Everybody put their inflation in.
One side and anyone with dues and donations this month. Yeah, the issue with the Fez is just locating the orders of. We tried to crunch the numbers at the end of the day. Fez is going to cost you about $90. The issue is, well, yeah, when you break down 46 American plus the 15 for the customs, and then they sometimes hit you, or no, customs is one, and then the delivery is it's either expedited or it's just normal post. That'll be the $13 or $15. So then it ends up being about $70 in there, 65 American. So I was trying to do, because then they have a $200 limit. You do less than 200, and they don't charge you customs. But then they were still doing the customs thing. If you charge you go over 200, then they definitely charge you customs. So I just have, waiting maybe to get 10 people together, and then sort of try to talk to the guy about something. But that's why I have to wait. I mean, but we can definitely. I mean, you've been waiting. I guess on yours. No. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's there to be done. It's just the website's there. Just in terms of ordering it through us. What I end up finding is I end up doing it 3 or 4 times, and then somehow they end up sort of being a little bit disgruntled about how much it is, and I end up covering certain of those costs, and so I've just sort of I'm not the.
You wrote it by yourself, it's still gonna be like 9.
It's definitely gonna be 90 by yourself. Yeah. Where sometimes the savings can be is if you get 3 or 4 together, and then the shipping cost ends up being absorbed. That brings it down to 75. Then what happens is the customer's charge goes up.
It's gone nuts.
Well, we could do
That's why I probably never ordered back the red one.
It's gone nuts.
Yeah, you got it. Like, yeah, so it's happening since then. It's just it ends up costing, right? And then you're talking about it's $90. You're all sort of money. Profiting on the sales and shit like that. So that's what it costs. Yeah, exactly. You're one Fez is what I'm looking at. So yeah, but here's what I'm telling you. We're on the verge because everyone wants 4, I definitely want 2. We're close. So if you're there, I'll definitely call your phone number. I'll have it ready and we'll get one done. Just be prepared. So I think there's what was you got 7. Did you get 8? I think it's the largest. 8. It's the largest. He's wearing 8. Yeah. You have to check. You have to check. You have to check, but I think 8 is the largest that they have. It'll say on the back,
Forget that, yeah.
But what you need to do is get one of those containers, like a hat store or whatever.
Yeah, just do. You can use a fitted, whatever. Ready? All right, let's go. Let's close out. two on the right.
On the left. On the right.
Let's do two on this one.
Like the ranchers.
Good. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love,
Truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night,
By night,
and by day,
and by day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Lawful
Moses,
Islam.
Islam.
Another one. You must better know your prayer. Islam, boys. Brother Naeem, we're gonna see you soon. See you soon, Brother Naeem. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. A bunch of sandwiches left. Take some home. Feel free. If it's free. They're not free. They're not free. Islam, boys. Yeah.
All the insects for you. I'm just gonna buy one. You see the insects, but it comes down to now you want one, right? No, load the insects.
Low it.
Yes,
I saw the big talk here, rough and loud.